This is it. This is the road course portion of our annual Extreme Performance Summer Tire Test. When we test tires back at Tire Rack headquarters, we're comparing them on our smaller autocross size track.
Right.
That's where we evaluate wet traction, and we even find out how they compare on the road. But this part of the test is designed to find out which is fastest on the road course.
We also evaluate each tire's subjective behavior, because finding the right tire for your vehicle and your driving style can be equally, if not more important than finding that one tire that may be slightly quicker on the perfect lap. On top of that, we have a new scientific and accurate way to measure the wear between each tire as well.
Yep, that's right. There are 7 specs in this test. 3 of them are brand new untested tires, and 4 are existing benchmarks in Extreme Performance Summer. So let's get to it.
Our track testing uses the same 275/35 R19 tire we use when we're testing at Tire Rack, and those tires are mounted on our 19x10 Ozius Drema GT wheels. All sets received a Tire Rack heat cycle before the test, and they were ready to go with just a scuff in from the outlap. To make sure our brakes are solid and fade-free to avoid any unintended variables, we use Hawk Performance DTC70 brake pads in the front and DTC60s in the rear. The first tire in the test is the BF Goodrich G-Force Rival Plus. This is a brand new iteration on a storied name. It utilizes an updated internal construction and a brand new compound combined with the existing Rival tread pattern. It's designed for endurance and consistency lap after lap, and BF Goodrich says they're focused on the endurance racing and track day market with the new tire. The counterpart to the G-Force Rival Plus is the G-Force Rival S 1.5. The S in the name designates it utilizes a sprint compound. Its primary focus is autocross use, but with proper heat management, it can be an effective track tire as well. The Bridgestone Potenza RE71 RS is a favorite with competitors and our testing, and is one of the top tires in our last track test. The Falcon Azenis RT660 Plus is an update on a very strong entry in the category. It features a revised construction and tighter manufacturing tolerances to help improve both lap times and wear. The Nankang Sport Next CRS set the fastest average lap in our last track test, so it's back to defend the title against the newest competition. Another new entry is the Vitour Tempesta P1, which has generated a lot of conversation in the enthusiast community, and we're excited to see if it lives up to the hype. The Yokohama Advan A052 needs no introduction, and is the final benchmark tire in the test.
When reporting lap times for our road course testing, in the past we've used the average time for each tire. Over our years of testing, we found that almost every tire is capable of a single outlier fast lap. Generally, it's on the first time lap before they reach their eventual full hot temperature. For anyone participating in Time Attack, the fast lap time is usually more relevant than the average, so this year we've decided to publish that data as well. The day of our test saw lots of sun load and temperatures in the 90s, with relative humidity averaging about 80%. It was hot for our drivers, the car, and for the tires, but we saw very little trend across the full day of testing. The Potenza RE71 RS has always been a subjective favorite in our track testing, and in this test it set the fastest average lap time at 1 minute 39.78 seconds, in addition to the fastest single lap of 1 minute 38.38 seconds. Its first lap was the flyer, and then it settled into a consistent pace for 3 laps, eventually heat soaking and falling off for the last 2. The Tempesta P1 delivered very strong braking and acceleration traction, though it didn't blend inputs as well as we would have liked. It handled the heat very well, but like every other tire in the test, its first lap of 1 minute 39.64 seconds was the fastest. After that, each driver had a quarter of a second or less variability for all remaining laps. BF Goodrich's G-Force Rival S 1.5 is a tire we had never tested on the road course before, and it ended up tied as our subjective favorite thanks to the immediate and accurate steering and easy neutral handling balance. It was consistent for the first 2 laps, then lost some time for the next 3, and then fell off for the last timed lap. Its fastest lap and average lap were both 0.06 of a second behind the Tempesta P1. The fastest average lap time from last year's test belonged to the Sportnext CRS, but we couldn't fall in love with its subjective behavior. This year we felt the same about its subjective traits, but it wasn't as consistent as before. It posted the second fastest single lap with a 1 minute 39.43 seconds, but it was 4th in average lap time. The first lap was the flyer, and its second and third laps were relatively quick and consistent, but it fell off quickly from there. The Advan A052 is known to be a strong performer, and it's tested well for us in the past. This year, though, the tire just couldn't get it done. Even its flying lap was off the pace, with a 7th out of 7 time of 1 minute 40.2 seconds. It lost a little over a second between the first lap and the last, but laps 2, 3, and 4 were all very consistent. We were excited to drive the Azenas RT660 Plus, but where its predecessor was eager to rotate and maybe even a little edgy at the limit, the Azenas RT660 Plus felt benign and safe. That's definitely not a bad thing, but it also didn't leave the driver with the same sense of accomplishment at the end. Plus, the compound wasn't updated, and it's down on outright traction compared to the top contenders. Without the ability to easily rotate through turns, the Azenas RT660 Plus took a step back in lap time compared to the competition, with a 1 minute 39.88 second fast lap and a 1 minute 41.1 average. This one had 2 fast laps right off the bat, then 3 slower but very consistent laps, and it fell off from there. As an endurance-focused product, the G-Force Rival Plus surprised us with the 3rd fastest flying lap of 1 minute 39.63 seconds. It could only do it once though, and the next lap was a 1 minute 40.9. It leveled off from there, running consistent times for both drivers and ending up with an average of 1 minute 41.35 seconds.
Utilizing the ferro arm we used to measure vehicles for wheel and tire fitment, we were able to compare the wear rates between the tires in our test by measuring the change in tread depth on the front left tire from each set, which is the position that sees the most wear in our testing. We measured the tires when they were brand new and then again after we were finished with our testing. Green indicates a region of the tire that has identical or a ½ millimeter greater tread than when it started, with yellow and red indicating more gain that's due to rubber pickup or migration. The more important colors are the blues and purples, with light blue indicating a ½ to 1.5 millimeters of tread loss and dark blue to purple or pink showing a loss of 2 to 3 or more millimeters of tread compared to the new tire. It's important to note that this wear is based on a limited number of laps on our vehicle with our drivers, so your mileage may vary. Comparing the wear between the 2 rival tires, the Rival Plus lives up to its endurance-focused promise, at least compared to its brand mate. The Rival S1.5 exhibits significantly more wear on the leading edges of its 2 intermediate ribs, in addition to the trailing edge of the outboard element. The Potenza RE71RS lost the most overall depth, with around 1 millimeter across the entire face and 2 to 2.5 millimeters of loss at the leading edge of both intermediate ribs. The Azenas RT660 Plus saw around 1.5 millimeter of tread loss on the outboard shoulder and leading edge of the center rib. The Sport Next CRS was one of the best in terms of wear, only experiencing around a ½ millimeter of wear on the ribs and around 1 millimeter on the most abused outboard shoulder. The Tempesta P1 saw significant wear of 1.5 to 2 millimeters on the shoulder and 1 to 1.5 millimeters on both ribs. Lastly, the Advan A052 was very close to the Nankang for wear, with a ½ to 1 millimeter of tread loss on the highest wear locations of the tread pattern.
Today was a big day. That was a lot of specs, a lot of tires. When I was making the test calendar, it didn't seem like that many.
It turns into a long day because they're doing controls or repeating controls.
Have to have a fuel stop every 2 specs. But it's all worth it. We have the data. Not as fast as last year. We don't drive for time. We drive to be consistent and maximize the tires in the conditions of the day.
The conditions of the day, of the track, of the ambient weather.
Yes.
Everything was a little slower today.
BF Goodrich Rival Plus versus BF Goodrich Rival S 1.5. I had never driven Rival S 1.5 on the track before, on the big road course style track before. I was pleasantly surprised, right?
It's not an older tire, but it's not a new tire.
No, it's old.
Yeah, but like heck,
it's old.
Heck yeah, like I gelled well with it. You did well with it.
Yeah, just the front end is just point. It puts the power down well. It didn't fall off that much. I think my 3rd lap, which is the last push lap, and his 3rd lap, which is the last push lap,
it was
I think
a little off.
Yeah, it started falling off a little bit, but it wasn't like some of the other tires.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's better than what we saw at a lot of specs.
Yeah. Rival Plus.
The new hotness, the Rival Plus. It is a new tire. It is a different tire. It is an endurance-focused tire. And it's hard for me to like wrap my head around. New, not as fast. What do you
I don't get it. No, it's the newer one. It's the faster one. It has to be.
It's
not
better at a certain job, which It was a little slower. It was a 141.35. Objectively, it's consistent, and subjectively, it was consistent.
Yep.
Which is what you are paying for if you want a Rival Plus.
For sure. Bridgestone Potenza RE71RS.
Yes.
I like it better than you do.
Fanboys.
I like it better than you do, but man, it was good.
It was good. It was quick too.
Its flyer was the fastest lap of the day.
And average, it was a 139.78 average.
Fastest tire in the test, Bridgestone Potenza RE71RS. Right. So good job. And just subjectively, it doesn't feel like it has any one super strong trait. You know, some of the tires were awesome at braking, some were really pointy, some, you know, but it just did everything without even really...
holistic.
It was holistic.
Yeah.
Falcon, right? The Zenith
RT660
Plus.
Let's do it.
They've tamed it. Falcon, you did exactly what you set out to do, and you tamed the tire. The old one felt like you were, you know, riding a crocodile, and it was like, man, I'm doing a good job, but maybe this thing's gonna throw me off and chew on my leg. And this one, it's so much more civilized and competent and refined, and
I think that was in my notes. I was like, it is your brake, turn, apex, throttle on, unwind. It's just do that, and you'll get consistent laps.
Right.
But it was good. It was consistent.
Yes.
Just average. It was a little slower. 141.1.
Oh, off the pace of the leaders in the category.
It is.
Its predecessor was a little bit off the pace of the leaders in the category. So
it was a nice driving tire.
Right.
I had a good time because it was relaxing. Like you could go out there and you can pound out some laps with it. Arguably a good tire if you're racing too.
Right.
Those are good traits. Nankang Sport Next CRS did it in a 140.57.
So
respectable time.
Respectable. Last year it did not have the fastest lap. Last year it was the fastest tire because it had the fastest average laps.
Right.
It managed to put down good ones, multiple good ones, and that just averaged out to the fastest. Good. That's commendable.
Yeah.
This year it was not so consistent for whatever reason.
A little fall off.
Yeah.
You had a real quick magic lap.
Yeah.
And then there was more fall off.
Yeah.
I had a pretty good cooler lap and then some fall off. But what stayed the same was the subjective feel. It's still kind of a funky tire to drive.
Disjointed is what I said. It's so good. It has good attributes. It can brake. It has lateral. It has super pointy steering response. It doesn't have great like build up or feel, as you know sometimes you call it. But it points the nose.
What did we say? It kind of had like the wobble end to.
You said wobble. Yes.
Kind of got a wobble end to ultimate cornering force. Yeah.
Even though the times are a little bit different than last year, I'm really happy that the subjective was the same as what it was. You know, it hasn't changed. It was just a different year. Okay, what was the second place tire?
It was the Vittor Tempesta P1.
Yes. Second place.
Yeah, at a 140.08, so basically a 140 flat.
Yeah.
It was good. I don't know why I'm disappointed in that.
We don't drive according to expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you hear a certain thing about a certain thing so many times, you think maybe that thing is a thing, and it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're going to keep harping on this. Maybe different setup. The rumor mill has it that tire likes lower pressures than other tires do, so maybe we're a little high for it. But again, perfectly level playing field across the board. It was second. It was not as fast as RE71RS. Right. And last, but certainly not least, Yokohama Advan A052.
140.88.
140.88. I think it was like third or fourth last year too. It has one good lap in it, and then then it's less good for sure.
Yeah, but I can feel when it's like you just take a sec quicker. Like you can feel that jerk, and okay, here we are. We're like we found like the limit. Just how quickly it recovers, and I got really excited. I was like, oh yeah, baby, the AO52, here we go. And you did. You got one lap out of it, and all of a sudden it was just like. That kind of starts getting softer and less aggressive on your body, and it's just like it's falling off.
Yes, I like how it puts the power down.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, you can roll on fast.
Yes. I would maybe even say it was the best in the test for that.
Yeah.
Just off the cuff here without really looking at notes or anything.
That or the 1.5, but probably A52 was a little better.
Yeah.
Jumping on the power. I remember thinking a couple times like, I could have dipped in more.
Sure,
center.
right, yeah. Good job, AO52 in that regard.
But I mean, a tight grouping, a tight test, lots of laps.
Yeah, I know, right? Lots of sweat. We hope you found this video entertaining, informative, helpful for finding the right tire for your needs based on what you're doing. I had a good time too. I hope everybody else did. Because we are actually creating a whole series of videos from our time up at the track and from this test. So at the road course, we had the 200 treadwear tires that we tested today. We also test these back at Tire Rack headquarters. We'll evaluate them on the road, in the wet, and in the dry on our test track.
Yep, which is testing extreme performance summer tires. That's up at Tire Rack HQ.
And then we have a test that compares 200 treadwear tires, extreme performance summer tires, to streetable track and competition tires, which is like 100 treadwear stuff, and also racetrack and autocross only, which is our comp, like 40 treadwear. And we do those in the wet at our HQ, in the dry at our track at HQ, and also on the road course in that video. And also, there's more. We have a test comparing racetrack and autocross only tires, which are our comps, like 40 treadwear tires, comparing the newest and best of those. We compare those to themselves, to each other, and also we throw in a full-blown non-DOT Michelin race slick to find out what the difference is if you step up to that. So that's actually a really cool video as well. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, be sure to leave them in the comments below. We try to read as many of those as we can and respond to them, so you will actually get a response, hopefully, from
gives us good ideas.
Tire Rack. Yes, we try to incorporate a lot of that stuff that we read into our testing, so please keep your suggestions coming. And as always, thanks for watching.